Marco.
Let's go. Yeehaw.
I
took a full load.
I'm letting you bury yourself because once you're done burying yourself and you dig yourself into a hole that's so freaking deep, I'm going to just show you how stupid you really are.
This is actually a banana, a bright yellow banana, but because of the green screen, you see it's partially like translucent. So who knows what eating a translucent banana will do to my body, but I don't know. If things go well, we might do it on cam. Thumbs up the ting.
Thumbs up the ting.
We're here. Welcome back. How do we sound? Let's see. Let's test it. Fuck yes. What's up, everybody in the chat? 50 people watching. We love to see it. All the green members in the chat, thank you for your support. All the mods, thank you. Look at these people. Viz Mayhem, Nick, Jared, Alex FPV, DTI, Burger Baron, Specs, David. I just want to share something with you guys first and foremost. And I'm not going to offer much comment on this because for reasons I'm not able to say, I have to be limited in what I say about this. So I'm just going to offer limited comment on this, but I'll let the article speak for itself. I want to just share this with you here. Google Chrome. Here we go. Okay. Here we are. This is a press release from the Federal Trade Commission. This is actually a whatchamacallit, Bloomberg or Business Insider article. FTC says company that pitched financial freedom scammed people out of $1 billion. The Federal Trade Commission, this is May 2nd, the Federal Trade Commission filed a federal complaint accusing Iovia, formerly IM Academy, of running a multi-level marketing scheme. While the company touted promises of wealth, most people who joined actually lost significant money. The breadth of this scam is remarkable, a federal official said. The Federal Trade Commission and Nevada Attorney General's office filed a federal complaint on Thursday, accusing the financial training company of operating a multi-level marketing scheme that scammed consumers, particularly young people, out of more than $1.2 billion since 2018. The company, which was formerly known by names including IM Mastery Academy and IML, and rebranded last November to Iovia, billed itself as a platform that could teach people how to make money by trading on the foreign exchange, cryptocurrency, futures, and stock markets. In social media posts, people involved with the company heavily promoted it as a means to financial freedom, touting luxurious lifestyles and six-figure incomes, the FTC said. Quote, training can be your ticket to wealth and success, one salesperson allegedly wrote in an October 2023 Instagram post. The complaint alleges that while the company claimed that customers could get rich by purchasing its financial training courses, which could cost anywhere from $100 to a few $100s each month, in addition to other add-on services, subscribers have lost substantial sums of money trading financial instruments on top of the hundreds, if not thousands of dollars they paid IML. Iovia did not immediately respond to a request for comment. The company's founder, Christopher Terry, Christopher Terry, one of the defendants in the suit, described the company on an archived version of his website as a cutting-edge online educational platform that introduces customers to financial marketplaces. The instructors who taught these courses often lacked formal financial training or accreditation and obtained trainings from YouTube or the company itself. Most of the instructors are salespeople masquerading as top-notch investment professionals, the complaint alleges. One instructor allegedly doctored his trading results, and the company covered up the allegations because the complaint says, quote, if not handled properly, this will be a public reputation nightmare. The company's director of education, product development, and regulatory compliance wrote in a message described in the complaint. In addition to financial courses, the company also offered subscribers the chance to participate as salespeople, earning commissions by recruiting others into the fold. The FTC says these tactics were a multi-level marketing scheme that resulted in the vast majority of salespeople losing or earning very little money. In 2022, according to income disclosure statements included in the complaint, around 80% of the company's salespeople made less than $500 a year. 90% of people who signed up for the company's trading courses had dropped the services within 6 months, the complaint said. The company operated a massive scam that has harmed hundreds of thousands of consumers in the United States and worldwide, the complaint alleged. Despite direct knowledge that many consumers were losing money trading and that consumers who purchased the business venture were also losing money, IML chose to keep marketing the training services and the business venture using unsubstantiated, misleading, and dishonest claims. Quote, "The breadth of this scam is remarkable," Christopher Mufferage. Thank you, Danielle. Christopher
Danielle
Mufferage.
W. donated 10 Canadian dollars.
Thank you for paying the goon tax, Danielle. The breadth of this scam is remarkable, Christopher Mufferage, the director of the FTC's Bureau of Consumer Protection, said in a statement. The agency declined to comment further, citing the active litigation. The Nevada Attorney General's office didn't immediately respond to a request for comment. Iovia focused its marketing efforts on young people, particularly young Black and Latino consumers, the complaint said. It added that in 2017, France's financial markets regulator issued a public warning that the company was targeting young people, including high schoolers, and several salespeople were arrested by the Spanish police in 2022 for, among other things, trying to recruit adolescents, people under 18. That's the great thing about network marketing. They keep making new 18-year-olds every day, Christopher Terry, the company's founder, once wrote to an associate, according to the complaint. Young adults can be a very susceptible population to a marketing pitch to dump the 9-to-5 job and really obtain financial freedom, said Bonnie Patton, the executive director of the nonprofit organization Truth in Advertising, which has investigated Iovia's claims. I wonder who else investigated Iovia's claims. What Iovia and the defendants named in this complaint were doing was scamming consumers out of hundreds of millions of dollars on a pitch that they could earn financial freedom when it was all just a lie, she added. The complaint said that at least 21 international government agencies have issued warnings about the company and that Canadian law enforcement has taken legal action. Chris Terry and his wife, Isis Terry, formerly Isis De La Torre, the company's chief financial officer and co-owner, received at least $20 million from the business, the feds alleged. I want to go to the FTC's actual. Oh, the FTC website is down right now. All good. So yeah, not much to say about this. I can't say much about this, which is unfortunate. But I will say it has to be looked at as good news. But I also want people to keep some perspective about this and recognize that it's not all good news. Yes, it's good news. The FTC has said that a multi-level marketing company was operating a scam. That's good. That's good. That's a good thing for them to say. Presumably, they will also be seeking to bring what amount of justice they can to that company, which is good. Here's the problem. In the official FTC press release, which for deceiving consumers, this is the official FTC.gov press release. So we see they say the breadth of this scam is remarkable. Let's go back to the headline. Take action against IM Mastery Academy for deceiving consumers, okay? Deceiving consumers. They then say the breadth of this scam is remarkable. Okay. The complaint names as defendants the company, its owners, Chris and Isis Terry, and IML officers or top salespeople. Tell me if any of these names are familiar to you. Maybe you've been watching me for a few years. Jason Brown, Alex Morton, Matthew Rosa, Brandon Boyd. It alleges that the company and its operators violated the FTC Act, the Telemarketing Sales Rule, the Restore Online Shoppers Confidence Act, and Nevada state laws. The commission vote authorizing the staff to file the complaint was 3-0. The complaint was filed in the U.S. District Court for the District of Nevada. I believe Christopher Terry lives in Nevada. That's where his residence is, if I remember correctly. So here's the thing that we should be that we should raise our eyebrow about, or that we should ask about. Okay. Yeah, here's another blurb that wasn't in the Business Insider article. Consumers typically first hear about IML from social media, often featuring supposed successful trades made using the company's training shared by IML salespeople. When consumers respond, they're invited to sales events or receive phone calls from IML salespeople touting programs costing as much as $400 per month. Marketing included claims about retiring in their 20s, salespeople flaunting luxury travel and products, and claims about making money in minutes or in your sleep. Remember money in minutes? Remember turn your phone into an ATM? Remember turn the pandemic into a bandemic? Remember that? Here's what we should all be questioning.
10 Canadian dollars. MARCOO.
Marco, thank you so much.
Marco.
Thank you. Here's what we should be questioning. What's the scam? What's the scam? I'm not being facetious. I'm actually requesting that the FTC answer this question. We know that FTC likes to answer questions, right? So here's my question. The FTC has mentioned deceptive claims that turned out to not be true, right? But beyond lying about how much money an opportunity could make you, what's the actual scam? Okay, it's a multi-level marketing company that made deceptive claims. We're almost there. You're almost there in terms of the language. A multi-level marketing isn't illegal, as we all know. It's a completely legitimate form of business, officially speaking, right? The FTC maintains that some MLMs look remarkably like pyramid schemes. It says that on their website. And they say that, most people in MLMs lose money. They say that right on their website. But they say that MLM is a legitimate form of business where you sell products and you recruit other people to do the same. Okay. So then, aside from this legitimate business making deceptive claims, why do you call it a scam? Is the scam simply that this multi-level marketing company made deceptive claims, or is there? Do you feel me? Are we hearing me? Wrong button. Are we here?
What you are about to witness is real. The participants are not actors. They are
Do we get where I'm going? Hello, FTC? Yeah, it's me. Oh, okay. Yeah. That said, it's good news overall. We also should, we also should recognize that this is not nearly enough. It's not insignificant. It's not insignificant. At the same time, I don't want to say but, it's not insignificant. At the same time, and I know there are FTC people that watch my channel, so I'll just, pat yourself on the back. Congrats. At the same time, okay, this doesn't negate what I said before about it being a positive thing. At the same time, not in spite of, but at the same time, this can also be true. We're talking about a company. The complaint says since 2018, they've defrauded or deceived people out of, what was the exact terminology they used? Let me not misquote. Did they say defrauded? Okay, has taken. They've said taken. Has taken more than $1.2 billion from consumers since 2018. Okay, taken. $1.2 billion since 2018. Okay. 2018. 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023, 2024, 2025. 7 years since the inception of the company, since they started making these kind of claims when they went by International Markets Live. Okay? 7 years. Now we've launched a lawsuit, right? Now, from 2025 until whenever they finish the lawsuit, mind you, this is a civil case. The FTC cannot bring a criminal case. They are not the Department of Justice. They are not the Department of Homeland Security. They are not the FBI. The FTC, the Federal Trade Commission, is supposed to regulate trade. They are not qualified. they don't have the power. They're not authorized. That's the word I'm looking for. They're not authorized to bring anything but a civil case. Now, you may know, with a civil case, nobody ends up in jail. Civil cases are about remedial penalties that have, with things other than jail time. Okay? Money. We're talking about fines. We're talking about cash. We're talking about settlements. We're talking about.
We gave him the money. Boom.
So $1.2 billion, right? $1.2 billion. The company probably is going to come back and argue that not all of their money was from, deceiving people. And, those distributors were bad apples. Those distributors, by the way, who they named, 2 days before this lawsuit was announced, Alex Morton, Matt Rosa, Jason Brown, all of them left to another company, which I will be doing a video on. They all left to another company. So think about that. Alex Morton specifically. You guys might, if you follow me on Instagram @alwaysmarco, you saw that a few weeks ago I posted. Somebody asked me on one of those "ask me a question" things. Who do I think is the worst person in the world of multi-level marketing? I said Alex Morton. I said Alex Morton because Alex Morton is still so young that the amount of damage that he's been able to do, the amount of destruction and financial ruin and depression and social destruction that he's been able to do in such a short time, and the fact that he's still relatively young, he's only in his 30s, the amount of time that he has ahead of him to scam people is so shocking to think about. So I said Alex Morton. Alex Morton is a guy who started out in Vima. He was the biggest promoter of Vima. That company was shut down for being an illegal pyramid scheme. Then he went to UNES. UNES also got in hot water and had pyramid scheme allegations. Then he went to IM Academy. Now IM Academy is being sued by the FTC for being a scam. And Alex Morton has once again jumped ship to try to separate himself from the bad publicity at the last moment. At the last moment. To try, and it has now gone to a new company called Jifu, Jifu, which I've known about for probably 2 years now. He's gone and jumped ship to this new company now with a guy from Jifu who, I'm not going to say too much about that company because I'll do a video about it. But yeah, the guy that runs Jifu is somebody that Alex Morton knows from way back in the UNES days, like almost 10 years ago. So it's all connected. These people are all part of a small little club of people that run from literally one scam to another, doing the exact same thing, running the exact same script, okay? And trying to avoid penalty. And Alex Morton was successful in avoiding any sort of consequence when Vima was shut down. He was successful in avoiding consequence when UNES got in trouble. He hopefully is not successful in evading consequence this time around because he is named personally as a recipient of the lawsuit. So, it's just, yeah, we also have to recognize that these people being allowed to pay a fine, the FTC can say something. They can say, when they bring one of these cases, they're allowed to say, you know what, we are seeking a ban for this person on running or being involved with a multi-level marketing company in the future. Okay? They can do that. They can say, as part of the punishment, as part of the remediation, we forbid you, or you're going to agree to never be part of a multi-level marketing company again, and you're going to pay X amount of dollars as a fine. Great, that's great. But in the case of someone like Alex Morton, who has had 7 years to build up his reputation as a, person in the industry, a successful person in the industry, and who had almost a decade before that, promoting Vima, UNES, whatever else. He's never been in trouble before. He's been allowed to build wealth. He's been allowed to build a public image to where now he doesn't even market himself as a multi-level marketer. He markets himself as like a motivational speaker and a sales trainer. So even if he's banned from from being involved in a multi-level marketing company in the future as a result of this lawsuit, and even if he's forced to pay a fine, he can still do the same thing. He can just be hired as a paid speaker, as a, doing contract work as a paid speaker. Oh, I'm not a shareholder. I'm not involved in the company. I'm not a distributor. They're just hiring me on a recurring basis as a motivational speaker. And what is his? I mean, that's essentially what they do now is motivational speaking when they go up to at these events. Oh, you know, you need the right mindset. Would you? So basically, my point is, aside from a financial penalty that they can probably afford to pay, $1.2 billion, okay? Even if they pay a financial penalty that they can afford it, they still get away with at least a percentage of the ill-gotten gains, because how can the FTC prove that every single dollar that I Am Academy ever received of the $1.2 billion, how can they prove that every single dollar was through this means of deceptive advertising? The company's probably going to come back and argue like, oh, these were just bad apples. They're not even in the company anymore. So what are they going to pay? Even if you paid even if you paid the biggest fine in history, even if you paid $500 million, they still are up. They still have fucking $700 million. So, as I said, it's good news, but it's not enough. It's also not enough because of the classification. Okay, they say it's a multi-level marketing company, and they said it's a scam. You're almost there. You know, and I get why they can't call it anything else, because now they have an even higher burden of proof in court to prove something. So this is sort of the take it or leave it option, you know? And again, it's a good thing. At the very least, what it does is, you know, give me some credibility, some more credibility, because I think that without my contribution to the world of talking about and exposing that company, I don't think this would have happened if it weren't for me encouraging hundreds and hundreds of people. I mean, I encouraged thousands, but I don't think thousands did it. I think hundreds of people did it, filing reports to the FTC about that company to report them in 2021. I did that. So, and I mean the names of the people who were named in the company: Chris Terry, Alex Morton, Jason Brown, Matt Rosa, Brandon Boyd. Those were all people that I like meticulously exposed, either in YouTube videos or on Instagram, in that huge Instagram campaign I did in 2021 against that company and its top brass. So, you know, I pat myself on the back for that. FTC, pat yourself on the back for filing this. But again, we're talking about the last decade's deceptive earnings claims from an MLM company made up of people who all have a proven track record of scamming. Jason Brown, Matt Rosa, they were also in Vima. They also came from Vima. Same with Austin Godsey. I think the only reason Austin Godsey isn't mentioned in the lawsuit is because he's already in jail for domestic violence. Yay, I'm right. I'm always right about these people being fucking pieces of shit. Cash Cartier. Remember Cash Cartier, who I did a debate with in 2021 on Instagram? He's in jail for murdering his girlfriend. Round of applause for all the people who said, I'm a hater, I have a broke mindset, I just don't want to see people win, I'm a clout chaser, I'm just trying to get views. No, I was quite literally trying to save people's lives. Save people's lives, not just the victims of their physical, violence, but of their lies, their manipulation, their scams. What about the 3 baby mamas, Austin Godsey's 3 baby mamas, women who were in I Am Academy, recruited to I Am Academy? They bought into his image that he portrayed of this like successful rich business guy, which was not true, is not true. He used that perceived position of power and authority to sleep with these women, got them pregnant, and then ghosted them. 3 different women I know of that did this, 2 of whom I've spoken to directly on like video calls. So, and of course, when they had the babies, or when he found out they were pregnant, he ghosted them. He moved crossing state lines, moving here, moving there, and now is in jail. I mean, what a fuck up. Not just what a fuck up, because a fuck up implies that he made a mistake. What an evil fucking piece of shit. Pyramid scheme, Vima, to another company, doing the same thing. He was also in Wake Up Now, even before Vima, I think. I don't know if it was before or after Vima. He was in Wake Up Now. He was in Vima, I Am Academy, in jail, out of jail, back in jail again. I mean, this guy, all these guys are fucking scum. Scum, in my opinion. So, and Chris Terry talked about in an interview that he did years ago, talked about being in Amway, and that's how he got the idea for the structure of I Am Academy, is from Amway. Think about, and we're going to, this sort of flows perfectly into what we're going to talk about with Robert FitzPatrick's video here, but it's going to take years for the FTC to litigate this case. I Am Academy is going to have their lawyers. They have a lot of money to pay lawyers. Their lawyers are going to drag it on and drag it on and drag it on. The FTC does not have unlimited resources, okay? They don't. The FTC has a budget which is decided by Congress, and they can't blow all of that budget litigating the I Am Academy case. They have the entire United States of America to, all types of scams that they're responsible for. They simply don't have the resources. The fact that they even, any case that the FTC brings is remarkable, because it means that they chose to bring a case against something in favor of many other things that they could have brought a case over. So that's why I say it's good and it's significant. But again, we're talking about deceptive claims dating back as far as 2018. It's probably going to be 2028 by the time this case is done. And how do I anticipate the case finishing? I anticipate a settlement. I anticipate I Am Academy buying their freedom. I hope the FTC pushes for a TRO, a temporary restraining order that forbids Chris Terry from operating the company as a multi-level marketing company. I hope that they issue fines directly to the individuals they named, Matt Rosa and Jason Brown and Alex Morton and Brandon Boyd. I hope so. I hope that, I want to see these people in jail. These people deserve to be under the jail, in my opinion. But yeah, I anticipate a settlement. I know that that's probably not the way it's going to go. I'm probably not going to get my wish. But it also, as I said, it adds credibility to myself, and you know what? I hope that it serves as a sign of motivation to you guys watching, to know that of course I wasn't the only person who made videos about this company, but my videos about this company are the most viewed. Nobody did nearly as broad of a social media campaign. Nobody mobilized people to report this company to the FTC repeatedly like I did. It wasn't even close. 2021, bro, a lot of the creators that exist now in the anti-MLM space were still in MLM in 2021. I've been doing this since 2019, not to toot my own horn, but it's just, I'm just stating a fact. There's no need to be self-effacing about it. It's just a fact. It's a historical fact. So I hope this, sort of serves as motivational to, I don't say this to impress you. I say it to impress upon you, as the scammers would say. But I hope this also serves as a sign to you guys that one person can make a difference and that your voice does matter. It doesn't matter if you have 100 followers or less. You could have no followers. You can still, the FTC is I imagine they have some system of weighing the importance or the public demand for bringing a certain case or another. I anticipate that they have some sort of system where they're logging and organizing. Okay, you know what? This month we got 100 reports about MLMs. We got 50 reports about scam calls. This is how I anticipate their system works. If we work together to say, hey, everyone, this is the campaign we're running. We're exposing this company. Here's the link. Everybody report this company to the FTC. Bro, you underestimate the power of the light side. You underestimate the power of 100,000 YouTube subscribers. Mind you, when I did this campaign against I Am Academy in 2021, I had, at the peak, I had 17,000 Instagram followers. We got to build that back up. Go follow my Instagram, always Marco. And I had like, I don't know, 30 or 40,000 YouTube subscribers. We're like almost triple that now. I'm at 111,000. So, yeah. Just wait for the next one, you know. But yeah. So, thumbs up the ting, I guess. I don't know. One person can make a difference, you know. All of the This is an important day for me 6 years into
Christopher
this journey
Terry
of mine.
donated 10 Canadian dollars.
Thank you,
You are
Chris.
so goated, Marco. We here at I Am Academy thank you for preventing us from harming more people. We are sociopaths and narcissists, and we can't control our addictive behavior or preying on marginalized communities. Thank you for all you do.
Thank you so much, Chris. Really appreciate you, man. Oh, Christopher Terry. Remember that? So cringe. Yeah, you know, in 2022, I gave up on this. I gave up on this. I saw that me continuing to do this work and continuing to grow was a double-edged sword. Yeah, I'm going to get more subscribers. Yeah, I'm going to make money off ad revenue. Yeah, I'm going to get people praising me for doing good work. But I'm also going to get harassed. I'm going to get sued. I'm going to get people hacking my Instagram and getting it disabled 15 different times, which is true. That happened in 2021. I'm going to get, you know, people, private investigators showing up to my house to intimidate me, my parents' house to send a message to me, you know, trying to open my car door at the gym as soon as I park at the gym because they followed me from my apartment complex, you know, be away from my family, move to the other side of the world, not publish where I am until I've already left that place, you know. So I gave up on this in 2022 and I didn't do this anymore. And yeah, I had the Spider-Man 2 moment, you know. I had the Spider-Man 2 moment when Toby's like, I'm not going to be Spider-Man anymore. And then he sees the old man being mugged in the alley and he's like, feels fucked up about it. I had that moment and I was like, bro, you're never going to own a home. You know, tomorrow is not guaranteed. You can go carve out a nice existence and get a job and hopefully live comfortably, hopefully make enough money that inflation and tariffs and whatever else doesn't eat away at your chances of having a normal life and get married and have some kids. You could do that. Or you can, you know, help these people. What better time, you know? What better time to help these people? If you get sued, you have no money anyways. If they say you owe them $1 million, come get it. So, you know, after almost a year away in 2022, I came back to this at the beginning of 2023 thinking, you know, not even being sure if it was going to be possible for me to rebuild the momentum that I had before in 2021. And what do you know? It was my biggest year ever. You know, the infiltrating a pyramid scheme video about an unknown company, which I released in the summer of 2023, was my biggest video ever by a large margin. And, you know, from there, the problems that I foresaw only compounded and they got bigger. But every time the problems get bigger, it's like a challenge to rise to the occasion and my mind gets stronger. It's, you know, it's a mental game. And then something like this happens where I'm vindicated in a small way by the FTC actually launching an investigation against this company that I exposed and naming the people that I focused on the most in that investigation, in that lawsuit, you know? So you absolutely can make a difference. And I can only anticipate that if I continue to do this work and I continue to use my growing platform to get people to mobilize the public to report these companies, that, you know, maybe 4 years from now, there will be a lawsuit announced by the FTC about a company that I exposed, you know, 2 years ago, or maybe I guess 2 years from now, a company I exposed 2 years ago will be sued. And it's like, if I have a track record of exposing a company and then sometime later the FTC launches a lawsuit against that company for the exact same things that I've you know, exposed it for, at some point, somebody somewhere is going to tap me on the shoulder. Some government person is going to say, okay, Marco, you know what? It's overwhelming. You are the expert on this topic. We need your help. Like, let's draft some new bills. Let's draft some new laws. And you're going to use your platform as a big voice to, put public pressure on these Congress people to vote your way instead of the lobbying way, your way instead of the DSA way. Time will tell, but this is certainly a motivation to see this happen. And, it restores a little bit of my confidence because I was worried the FTC wasn't going to do anything. But yeah, there's still much to be desired by the announcement of this lawsuit. As I said, they talk about deceptive claims. Well, deceptive claims are just an isolated incident. They're not an example of a systemic or institutional fraud or deception. If McDonald's employees made deceptive claims, that doesn't bring into question the legitimacy of McDonald's. Do you get what I'm saying? Likewise, the deceptive claims made by people in a multi-level marketing company don't necessarily equate to the entire company being illegitimate, which is why I'm a bit disappointed at the way they framed it. They say there was deceptive claims made dating back to 2018, and they say the breadth of this scam is remarkable. Well, what's the scam? Is the scam simply that many people were making deceptive claims for a long time? Okay, but you get my point. Say what it really is. Say what the actual scam is. I know they can't say that. Why can't they say that? If you want to know why they can't say that or why they refuse to say that, go look up the Neora, FTC versus Neora. This is a case that the FTC brought against a multi-level marketing company with the allegation that it was an illegal pyramid scheme, and they lost. The FTC lost. This is the first time the FTC lost a case of accusing a company of being a pyramid scheme since 1979 against Amway. And it opened up a whole new can of worms because now there is new legal precedent that allows every other MLM to defend against the allegation that it's a pyramid scheme. So essentially what it's done is make it harder for the FTC to prove in court that an MLM is a pyramid scheme. Before, they've had a wild success rate in taking these MLM companies to court for being pyramid schemes. So I think that is probably why, if I'm speculating, that is probably why the FTC limits their claims in this press release to being about deceptive claims. They have to use the tools they have at their disposal. They're not allowed to bring a criminal case. They can't say it's a human labor trafficking organization because that would be a criminal charge. They would need the Department of Justice for that, or the FBI. They don't have the authority to do that, so that's out. They don't have the authority, or they don't have as strong a leg to stand on in claiming it's a pyramid scheme, so they didn't do that. So they did what they could. What could they do? They said they made deceptive claims. Again, that's why I say it's the take it or leave it option. Trying to get some fines for deceptive claims that were made nearly a decade ago, or probably a decade ago by the time this comes to the point of reaching a settlement. We'll be talking about deceptive claims made 10 years ago, and people have to pay fines for that or pay, reparations for that a decade after they made the claims or close to that, when they've already made so much money that it doesn't even matter to them. Get out of jail free. So we keep going. We press forward. It's better than nothing. And maybe it starts like this. In 2025, we see that we have the power with our voice to mobilize the FTC to at least do that. And the FTC says, okay, you know what? Deceptive claims were made. We're going to bring a lawsuit. If I continue this, perhaps we'll see the ball rolling and going further. But this is a remarkable remarkable and significant day. And so if you've been supporting me since 2021, Chloe says I was in it in 2021. You definitely shook the whole company up. So true. If you've been watching me since then, if you've been supporting, if you were one of the people who made a report about that company, I want to thank you and thank you. Put your, pat yourself on the back, It's amazing. Appreciate y'all. Devin's no longer a member? That's crazy. What's going on? What up, everybody? Okay, I'm going to read some of your comments now before we get into Robert FitzPatrick. Somebody says, Roman says, I'm very articulate. Do you read a lot? Do you write a lot? I love listening to you. I don't read a lot. I mean, I write for scripts, like for videos, but I don't really write like that. I watch a lot. I watch a lot of people who speak really well. Christopher Hitchens, Norman Finkelstein. These people are great orators. And I appreciate your kind words. Do I read a lot? Technically, yes, but not in terms of like sitting down reading. I'm reading a book right now, which has been a struggle for me, but yeah. In terms of like sitting and reading books, no. What up, Jelly Snack? Wait until the FTC finds out about all the other scams. Yeah. Hey, FTC, what if I told you every MLM company was doing that? John Reardon says they didn't call it a pyramid scheme. So true. What up, Lindsay Lou? It would make too much sense to call it what it is, says Nick. Yep. Taken. Yeah, the money was taken, not defrauded. It was taken by a particular set of skills. See what I mean? They have to be careful with the language. Alex Morton YouTube vids are gone as well. Wonder why. Yeah, of course. He's deleted them because now he's on to another company. He who controls the past controls the present. He who controls the present controls the future. Erase it. Gaslight people. That never happened. You didn't see that. All these years they've been saying, this is the greatest company in the world. This is the greatest opportunity in the world. Now they're on to the next company. FTC describes most MLMs in the lawsuit, so they need to dismantle the MLM business model. Yeah, I mean, of course. Alex Morton, you mean Fegan Floop? Yes, he does look like the actor Alan Cumming, a.k.a. Fegan Floop. There's a guy at my gym who looks just like Alan Cumming, but if he was jacked. Y'all not gonna get me eating it in the gay way. Plus, where is the fine going? It's not a class action suit, right? Yeah, exactly. Where is the fine going? I don't know. FTC gonna make some bread. Hey, FTC. Instead of making money for the same corrupt government who has neutered you from being able to actually bring significant change, why don't we use the money, in a better way? I don't know what that is, but what can they do? Reading your guys' comments here. Yes, we're back in the mansion. What up, Beyond? I'm glad you didn't get swept up in the twister. Yes, Devin says, I remember you were so discouraged over a year ago, thinking none of this would matter. It does matter, y'all. John Reardon, I see you, and I'm sorry that I Am Academy caused the destruction of your marriage. These are real people we're talking about, real victims. Star Rider says you're Spider-Man. Yeah. Lawsuit money can be donated at the link in the chat. If anyone wants to compete with Dr. B, who last week came in and dropped a big baggy poo. All right. I'm reading your guys' comments. We're going to get into a video from Robert FitzPatrick. Yes, Robert FitzPatrick has uploaded a YouTube video. I know. It's amazing. Truth of all, Robert FitzPatrick, probably most of all, Robert FitzPatrick. He's the author of the books False Prophets, Profits, instead of like prophet. Very clever title. And Ponzinomics, also, which came out in 2021, the same year that I was exposing I Am Academy. And me and Robert's interview also came out that year on my channel. And we're due for another one. Due to certain situations, I'm unable to meet Robert FitzPatrick in person where I want to meet him, where would be most convenient to meet him. And I've never met him ever in person. We've talked on the phone many times. We've spent many hours speaking on the phone to each other. And we did that interview in 2021. But I think we're due for another one. And I would love to do like a high-quality sit-down interview in the same way that I did the one with Douglas Brooks in 2023, where, you know, this was when I went to Washington, D.C. for the MLM conference. I did a sit-down interview with Doug Brooks. I would love to do another polished, high-quality interview in person with Robert, because Robert has a ton of interviews online, but none of them are like a high-quality, proper sit-down interview. You know, I'm trying to get my Diane Sawyer on. So we were talking recently about where we could meet to do it, and it does require a flight. It requires a flight, but I think it would be really good. And I'm hoping that if we meet up to do this, that I could also convince him to infiltrate like an Amway physical headquarters with me if we do that. I think that would be, I mean, I don't think, I know that that would be like the historical legendariness of that would be amazing. You know, this Robert FitzPatrick is like my, you know, if I'm to make myself the main character here, if I'm Luke Skywalker, then Robert is Ben Kenobi or Yoda. You know, if I'm King Arthur, he's Merlin. You know, if I'm Neo, he's Morpheus. You know, there's endless examples of this. But yes, let's make that happen. I would love to make that happen. Daniel says, Marco, I messaged you on Instagram about how I was involved with Amway till I came across your videos and really started to understand its cultish nature. Thank you, Daniel. Appreciate that. Alexis says, nothing sketchy with McDonald's. You ask for a Big Mac, you get a Big Mac. Exactly. Okay. So Robert put out a video. This was a presentation that he did. Thank you, Jelly Snack. Interview with Robert Fun. Thank you, Jelly Snack. Appreciate you, Jelly Snack. On Super Chat, too. First Super Chat of the night. Let's go. Get that YouTube chat popping. Yes. So Robert released a YouTube video. This was part of a presentation that he did for a university. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to reveal that information, but he did a presentation for a university. That means that the knowledge of MLM and what it truly is being spread to educational institutions that are actually, you know, this one has actually asked Robert to speak. So Robert took his presentation that he did for that company and he narrated it. He added voiceover and he uploaded it to YouTube, this presentation. The channel is called Pyramid Scheme Alert. 35 subscribers. Go subscribe. Yes, I mean, it's to be seen whether Robert will ever upload another video, but let's just watch this. This is Robert in his own words unlike he's ever put it before. And this is, I debated in my mind even doing this stream about this video, because it demands of the listener that they think about MLM in a different way than they've thought about it before. Many people probably think about this as a business that does something wrong a lot of the time. Some of the more enlightened of you probably think of it as a fraudulent business opportunity, or a scam that, disguises itself as business using the language of business, a pyramid scheme, fraud. But it's deeper than that. And this is what Robert is going to explain in this video. So let's let him take it away. This is really significant that this exists, and we should cherish this. So I've already downloaded a copy of it. So yeah. It's called The Cult of Multi-Level Marketing. A video with narration by Robert L. FitzPatrick. Let's go.
This is Robert FitzPatrick. Of all the presentations I have prepared for consumers on multi-level marketing, MLM, I consider this one the most important.
I'm going to put on 1.25 speed.
If you are in an MLM or are being enrolled or want to know what MLM is all about, I believe this presentation will be the most important information for you to escape or avoid its entrapment, and to help others escape or avoid it. MLM's primary method of deception is disguise. This presentation removes the disguises to reveal MLM's actual identity. What is uncovered is grotesque and disturbing. Some people will not face it. MLM is a coercive cult and a destructive pyramid scheme.
Ooh, I'm getting chills when that boy Robert shakes up them dice and throws it on the cement. Woo!
From my experience, as long as MLM is allowed to wear its masks of business, income opportunity, and direct selling, it maintains power to deceive and protection from law enforcement and media exposure.
Ooh, I need to hear him chef that last bar one more time. What is uncovered is shocking.
Is grotesque and disturbing.
What is uncovered is grotesque and disturbing. I want to hear him say this bar one more again.
Some people will not face it. MLM is a coercive cult and a destructive pyramid scheme.
A coercive cult and a destructive pyramid scheme. And in this next around an hour, Robert's going to explain why. He's going to mansplain for all of the anti-MLM girlies that make effectively anti-MLM porn reaction videos to, distributors, women saying crazy things about, product claims and going no deeper than that, who refuse to credit Robert FitzPatrick, whose work is something that we all stand on the shoulders of, who none of us would be able to have YouTube channels or, make money and get sponsors and whatever, if it weren't for his work and his pioneering, his pioneering work and bravery going up against MLM before the internet was even a fucking thing. Yeah, let's give props where they're due.
From my experience, as long as MLM is allowed to wear its masks of business, income opportunity, and direct selling, it maintains power to deceive and protection from law enforcement and media exposure. This presentation focuses on MLM's cult identity. However, to see the cult, MLM itself must be fully identified, and the pyramid scheme within it must also be understood. Then, how it gains control over people's lives and inflicts its personal and financial damage become clear. So our first two slides I call the face of the MLM cult. That is the countenance, what you see, what people recognize when they begin to see something is wrong here with multi-level marketing. And this is most often recognized, of course, not by the person in the cult, but by friends, family, associates, and so on. And the most terrible aspect of this face of the cult is that people in it are led to commit financial suicide. That is, they will ruin themselves financially over years of time, buying things they can't afford, ruining their credit, running up debt for the household, and so on. And these are the aspects. These are the things that are identifiers. That when you see that a person who has not joined, but has been lured into the cult, something is really strange going on here. Their voices will change, their personalities will change, the way they dress, and so on. So these are merely a description of what many, many people have written to me, called me, and asked me, what in the world is going on here?
Let's listen to that again. Committing economic suicide. Economic suicide. This is not hyperbole. This is real and exact and precise. Dedicating inordinate time. I mean, time freedom. This is what they all talk about. Purchasing unsellable inventory. Oh, we have an amazing product. Assuming unpayable debt. Oh, this is an investment. It's not debt. You're not losing money. It's an investment. Draining savings to attend motivation. Oh, betting on yourself. Aren't you going to invest in yourself? Appearing successful. Fake it till you make it. You have to dress for the job you want. See it to believe it. Manifest. Leading to evictions, ruined credit, quitting jobs, leaving school. Oh, well, maybe you didn't try hard enough. Maybe this just isn't for you. Not everyone can make it. We still need people to flip the burgers and make the coffee. Suspension of critical thought. You're just a hater. You don't understand. Rejection of facts. You can write anything on Google. It's like a bathroom wall. Robotic repetition of aphorisms. Let me think of an example of this. I say this not to impress you, but to impress upon you. Would you rather have $1 million right now or a penny doubled every day for 30 days? Changes in speech, dress, expression, personality. All right, guys, well, I'm here with this company, right? And this is an amazing opportunity, right? The way they always say, right? Like they're trying to reaffirm subconsciously to themselves that what they're saying is true. Near worship of MLM leaders. Chris Terry, thank you for changing our lives. Thank you for changing our families' lives. Real quote from a real clip in one of my videos. Near worship of MLM leaders. Expressions of rapturous joy. I am so happy and grateful. I am so happy and grateful that I am now Chairman 100. Ah!
So continuing, looking into the face of the multi-level marketing cult. This is what people see among people who've been lured into it. And they recognize it as strange behavior, but very few can understand what is behind this behavior. Of course, they will see people obsessively reading, quoting, and referring to multi-level marketing. They'll, of course, be experiencing the pressure, the constant recruiting that the person now is doing all the time, trying to bring others into the multi-level marketing company. To the extent that they will abandon their family, their friends. But the worst aspect of this part here of the description is that whereas I said people will commit economic suicide, they will also attempt to assassinate others' character. That is, when people do not join, do not support them, or dare to criticize what they're doing, they will turn on them. As
defamation lawsuit incoming.
All cult people do, for reasons that we will get into later.
Cut your mom off. You need to love, you can love your mom, but you need to love her from a distance. She doesn't understand. Does your mom have financial freedom? Why would you listen to her? Listen to someone with the results that you want. If you want to be a great basketball player, learn from a great basketball player. If you want to make a lot of money, learn from someone making a lot of money. Appeal to authority fallacy.
But they will reject so vehemently your own questions or critique that they will attempt to attack you, vilify you, ruin your character, gossip about you, and so on.
A great analogy for this is the scene in The Matrix when they're trying to pull the fucking... Okay, I guess the scene in the Matrix is a bit different. But basically what this is imagine everyone who's in MLM who really believes it, they're in those little pods in the Matrix. You know what I'm talking about? The Matrix pods. You know the pods that they're all in? Like the battery packs that they've turned humans into battery packs, and it looks like this. Imagine me, always Marco, reaching into the thing, pulling them out, and trying to unplug the thing from the back of their head. You know, the thing, the little cable thing in the back of Neo's head here. You're trying to pull it out of the back of their head. And they're going, no, put me back. That's exactly what it's like.
Literally assassinate the character of people that they were close to, even their own family members. So
hold on, I want to read some more of this. Spontaneous conversion, described by William James in Varieties of Religious Experience. This is what we're talking about here. Religion. Religious cultic fanaticism. It is a religion. They replace God with the CEO of the company and money. They replace the disciples with the top distributors. You know, the doctrine is not Bible passages. It's Think and Grow Rich, How to Win Friends and Influence People, Jim Rohn, Who Moved My Cheese, all this other nonsense. Relentless high-pressure recruiting of friends, yes. Neglect or abandonment of family and friends for MLM activities, leading to isolation. Yes, that makes it harder to get out as well. If you've burnt all your bridges and cut off all your family members, then it's harder to leave the MLM because who are you going to go to? Who are you going to talk to? Assassinating characters. Defamation lawsuit. Take his Instagram down. Shut it down. Send private investigator to his house. Scientology. Rejection, even vilifying close associates, even family for not enrolling or supporting MLM venture. Yes, think no further than my former best friend, who I released a video about recently.
They were close to, even their own family members. So to begin, first, for part one, we need to identify exactly what multi-level marketing is. It's not difficult to identify it. It is clearly recognizable. It is an entity, a type of enterprise. They are distinct, recognizable, and that's what we're going to do first, is to identify and describe what is actually called multi-level marketing. So in the process of identifying what is multi-level marketing, what is not multi-level marketing, the first fact to know is that multi-level marketing is everywhere. There are hundreds and hundreds of such companies, and millions of people have been involved or are involved in them right now. Approximately 1 out of 20 households at any given time in the USA, or really in the whole world, are involved in a multi-level marketing company. There are estimated to be as many as 1,000 of them operating at any given time. And the other thing to know is that most of the people who've been in multi-level marketing are no longer in them because they quit. They lose and they quit. So each of these schemes has a minimum 50% of the people come and go each year.
Think about that. If at any given time, 1 in 20 households at any given time are in the world are in MLM, and there's a 50% minimum turnover rate from 1 year to the next, extrapolate that over 50 years or 100 years. This is why now in the year 2025, almost every single person you talk to who's of adult age has at least some secondhand experience with MLM. Maybe the person you talk to wasn't themselves in one, but they know someone who is in one. They've had a family who's become obsessed by one, a friend. It's nearly every single person. It's nearly every single person. And we're still so far away from actually, as a society, recognizing what this actually is and that this is a cult that has engulfed the entire world. Peace out, Alexis.
The more famous ones that people identify as multi-level marketing or are identified in the media or self-identify as multi-level marketing include Amway, Herbalife, Nu Skin, Nexium, which was shut down as a sex cult and the leader is in prison now, Advocare, which was also prosecuted by the Federal Trade Commission and ceased operations, Lioness, which is mostly in Europe.
They tried to recruit me to Lioness. My dad's friend's wife, now ex-wife, tried to recruit me to Lioness when I was 18. ACN I've done videos on. Amway I've done videos on. Herbalife, there's an entire documentary called Betting on Zero about Herbalife. Mary Kay, Avon. Some claim not to be MLM as described in this presentation. Yeah, they have new fancy euphemisms, which I'm sure Robert will get to.
ACN is the company Donald Trump was primarily identified with as a promoter and endorser.
True.
Utility Warehouse, which is mostly in the UK. Mary Kay, which is everywhere. Avon, which is everywhere. And Avon used to be not multi-level marketing, but traditional direct selling. But around 2005, transitioned into becoming a pyramid recruiting scheme. Some of these companies that I've named claim not to be multi-level marketing, as multi-level marketing is described in this presentation. So while we know multi-level marketing by some of the companies that are in the public domain or in the media, there are thousands that many people have never heard of. So it's important not just to know MLM by the names of the enterprises, but by their characteristics. And that's what we're going to spend a few slides on, is just seeing the unique characteristics of multi-level marketing. And that is, they are characteristics that are not seen in other companies in general, but they do have some that are shared with all other companies. For example, all multi-level marketing companies function as licensed corporations or companies. So they have licenses to do business. And that is their more or less their disguise, that they
Yes, Robert did make this account just to drop this banger.
that they are actually businesses. They have products. Almost all of them sell some kind of a product. And the people that do the selling of the product or are authorized to do the selling are not employees, but are independent contractors. And the payments that people receive are called commissions. They are actually portions of the payments others have made for the products that the company is identified with. You have to pay to get into a multi-level marketing company. You pay some kind of a fee to join, and you normally have to keep paying or maintain some level of purchasing or other kind of commercial activity in order to stay in the plan where you are entitled to receive these promised rewards. And the other opportunity the other aspect that is unique to multi-level marketing, which I don't think many of us have ever heard on a regular job, where the company offers you what they call an opportunity of a lifetime. Income without limits, beyond your imagination. Very few of us have jobs where the company would make such promises. In multi-level marketing, it is routine, it's universal. And then finally, the most obvious aspect of it, but many people also don't recognize this for what it is. The company is described in utopian terms because it is based on an income that is derived from an unlimited or infinite expansion. And we'll get into that soon.
This is because, this is why you can't imagine it. This is why the opportunity is beyond imagination, because how high can you count? How high can you multiply and do exponents in your head? You can't.
The expansion involves recruiting, and usually on an exponential basis. That is, each person recruits 2, and then the 2 have to recruit 4, and so on, or 5, 25, 125, etc. And you are told everyone can do it. There's no limit on this capacity. Anyone can do it. So as noted, the foundation for multi-level marketing's reward plan is a form of recruiting with no limit. It's based on exponential expansion. 5 get 25, 25 get 125, and so on. Why do people not see the impossibility of this? Well, it's a blind spot for sure for most of us, how exponential expansion works. So here's a little quiz to see if you yourself understand how exponential expansion operates.
I love this example he's giving here, the penny doubled every day or the $1 million in cash, because this is something that people in the MLMs themselves will say as some sort of like little verbal party trick to show that they're so, they're so good with money and finances that they understand these complex concepts of exponential math. And yet they don't see, or they don't acknowledge, or they don't want you to see or acknowledge the exact same phenomena when it comes to their own recruiting plan, which is so much more ridiculous and exponential than the penny being doubled. A penny being doubled is, you're just doubling it. 1 becomes 2, 2 becomes 4, 4 becomes 8. In MLM, they want you to recruit more than 2 people. They want you to recruit 5, 8 people, 10 people. 5, 25, 125, 625, 3,125, 15,000, on and on and on.
How it works. So here's the question of the quiz.
What does 12x mean to you?
Which would you take if offered $1 million in cash right now in your hand, or a penny put in your hand now that will double each day for just 30 days? So the first day, a penny is put in your hand. The next day, day 2, you have 2 pennies, and day 3 you have 4, and so on, only for 30 days. So which would you take? Go to the next slide to see. Okay, so if you chose to take $1 million in your hand up front, you did well, except if you had chosen the penny, you would have gotten $4 million more. Actually, more than 4 million. And there's the numbers in black and white on the right-hand side of the column. 1 penny becomes $5.3 million in just 30 days if it just doubles every day for 30 days. So the growth is explosive.
It's crazy. Exactly. It's explosive. Look at how by day 10, 1/3 of the way through the experiment, you only have $5.12. You only have $5 by day 10. By day 20, you have $5,000. So another 10 days, we're now 2/3 of the way through the experiment, and you've 1,000x'd your $5. Still seems kind of far-fetched that you would get to 5 million, but no. 10 days later, on the 30th day, you have 5.3 million.
But there's a few things to notice about how this works. The big numbers are at the bottom. You have to get quite a few levels before you start hitting the big numbers. It didn't become even $100,000 until 25 days. But after that, the numbers really start piling up. If those were people instead of pennies, that 5 million would actually be 500 million. So in 30 days, one person recruiting 2 people who do the same for just 30 cycles would produce almost over, actually, 500 million people.
Which is a significant population, a significant amount of the global population. There's 8 billion people. 500 million people is a nice chunk of that. Classic trust the process. Yeah, trust the impossible math.
And you can see where it would go from there. 500 million to 1 billion, 2 billion, 4, 8, you're past the population of the Earth now. So, what do you learn? The lessons. The growth can be explosive. However, the big numbers are at the bottom, meaning the vast majority of people in an exponentially expanding chain are at the bottom. For those at the top, only a tiny number are at the top. They're going to be getting money if the money flows from the bottom to the top. And the vast majority are going to be at the bottom, where they don't have a downline or not very much of a downline. They will get virtually nothing. Now, drilling down a little more deeply into how to identify multi-level marketing and distinguish it from real businesses.
Also, I want to address one thing on this point of the exponential math. A lot of the MLM apologists and loyalists will say, well, Marco and Robert FitzPatrick, if you're so clever, how come, if you say 5 who recruit 5 is impossible because within 13 cycles, you'd exceed the population of the Earth. How come it hasn't happened yet then, smart guy? And they try to use the fact that it hasn't happened yet, the fact that there are not 8 billion people in Amway. They try to use this as sort of proof or as a gotcha. See, you don't know what you're talking about. It would have happened by now. Well, this is a purposeful attempt to misunderstand. It's a purposeful ignorance to not understand the experiment, if you will. Because the point is that if the system worked the way they say it does, then we should see the entire Earth's population in the company. You guys said that it was a very simple formula. Anyone can do this. Just follow the plan. Recruit 5 people who recruit 5 people. If it was true and it was demonstrable, surely everyone would have been in it by now. All of the children, all of the elderly, all of the disabled, all of the people who already have other jobs, all of the doctors and teachers and bus drivers and lawyers and, every other occupation would go by the wayside and all of us would be in the company. So when they say, why hasn't it happened yet? That's actually my question. Why hasn't it happened yet indeed? If you say, which you say, it works this way. So if it works this way, then yes, why hasn't it happened? And to take it one step further, not only why hasn't it happened, but if it was true that it worked, why would there ever have even needed to be more than one MLM to begin with? Every MLM we know is an offshoot of Amway. Amway is the originator of this plan. So, you know, if every other MLM is operating based on the laws that were set forth by the 1979 Amway decision, and they all got their idea from Amway, and if you look at all the biggest MLM CEOs, they all came from Amway in some way or another. You know, we talked earlier about Chris Terry, how he used to be in Amway, and now he runs IM Academy. Why, if all of these operate off of the same fundamental principle of the endless chain recruiting, why would there have ever even needed to be more than one MLM? Shouldn't everyone have just been, joined Amway a long time ago? Why are there even still new companies popping up? So, yeah, it's nonsense.
Now, drilling down a little more deeply into how to identify multi-level marketing and distinguish it from real businesses, let's take the first three unique characteristics of a multi-level marketing operation. The first identified here is that it puts no limit whatsoever on the size of the market or the number of existing salespeople or contractors. There is a denial of the reality of saturation. If you could imagine McDonald's placing new stores on every corner without regard to the other stores already in operation or the total number of customers. But that is how multi-level marketing operates. It's authorized, the contractors are incentivized to keep recruiting more contractors regardless of the market size or the number of existing contractors. It's called a sales company, it's called direct selling, but uniquely in multi-level marketing companies, there is actually no viable retail income opportunity.
Exactly. Who do you know that could actually make not only a full-time living to be able to pay their bills, but an exorbitant, luxurious living with Lamborghinis and private jets and vacations and all the things that the MLM cult preaches? Who do you think could actually do this just by selling lotions and potions and insurance? It's literally impossible. We live in 2025. You think that you are going to load up the trunk of your car with a bunch of lotion and shampoo and whatever else, powder, and you're going to go, you're going to go out there into the world or on your Instagram or whatever and compete with the big box retailers, the industries of scale that already sell the competing products that you are selling, which are probably better quality and more competitively priced and with a long-standing trusted brand name that people already have familiarity and brand loyalty with. You think you are going to go out there and you are going to compete and you are going to steal market share away from the big companies, the L'Oreals of the world, if we're talking about skincare and shampoo, you're going to go steal market share to the tune of millions of dollars by yourself, even with a downline of people. It's nonsense. And if this was truly about you making money off of sales, you recruiting people beyond the demand that exists to go and also become salespeople, you're cannibalizing your own potential customer base. Why would you recruit someone? You're recruiting your own competitor. Why would you recruit someone who's going to go sell the same thing as you? At the very minimum, you would have to say, okay, I'm taking the left side of the city, you're taking the right side of the city. I'm on the west side, you're on the east side. And that at least there's some separate territory. And even then, the demand would have to be so strong that you could justify having more than one salesperson for this, high demand product. Let alone 10, let alone 100, let alone 1,000, let alone 10,000, let alone 100,000 people. And yet, this is what all MLM promotes.
It's not really possible to make a profit consistently from actually selling the product in the open market by yourself on your own from your home. The margin on the product is too small. The cost of finding customers and keeping them and supplying them and serving them is far too high to make this viable. So the only market that exists is really among the contractors themselves.
Exactly. MLM, look at the first point. Uniquely, meaning this only applies to MLM. MLM contractors are authorized and incentivized to recruit more contractors without regard to market size or number of existing contractors, a denial of the obvious reality of saturation. Exactly. If the goal of the company was really to make sales, Why on earth would you recruit more and more people who every new recruit you get reduces the amount of potential customers that any other one recruit can sell to? There's no viable retail-based income opportunity from sales to end users. It is a closed, fixed market. Exactly. Somebody asks me, general audience says, Marco, have you been on a cut looking lean, man? Next, get LASIK. I do wear contacts sometimes. I'm not doing it right now. I have not been on a cut. I've been on sort of like a maintenance phase, but I've definitely been in the gym heavy. So I think I am looking leaner. So thank you. You don't have to do much work, buddy. The system bring the people. Exactly.
Who purchase products monthly in order to remain qualified. And then there is the actual sales formula or the commission structure.
So Danielle, thank you.
In multi-level marketing, 50 to 80% of all these sales commissions on all the sales by all the salespeople end up in the hands of the top 1% on the sales recruiting chain. Now, is this because that 1% made 50 to 80% of the sales? No, they made almost no sales on their own. It's all coming from the people below them. So it is an extreme money transfer. The rewards become greater in volume, and the percentage awarded to the top people increase the more people you recruit. The higher you are on the chain, the more people you have below you, but also the greater the percentage of the total commission paid on the transaction that you receive. An extreme top-loaded recruiting reward system. Multi-level marketing companies are generally characterized as companies, businesses, operating within the market according to market-based and economic principles. But in fact, when you examine multi-level marketing more closely, you see it actually employs anti-economic traits, such as the first one, an endless chain. It is the only business on earth in which saturation and market limits are not recognized. And so it uses the endless chain. But a characteristic, as we saw in the example of exponential expansion, puts the vast majority of the total number of people involved at or near the bottom. And at that position, profit is impossible. So at any time, at all times, the great majority of people involved are in an unprofitable position.
Exactly.
Recruiting a large downline is required to gain the promised rewards, but only a tiny percentage of people at the very top could ever fulfill those top positions, and therefore the model dooms everyone else. Then you add in costs. There are costs involved to participate all the time, month after month, either through purchases, trainings, tools that you must purchase, or simply losses that you incur from other actual real business activities or work you could have been involved in. So there are opportunity costs. Finally is the question of selling. It's described as direct selling, but in fact, there is no retail sales opportunity. Profitable retail selling is actually impossible, and no one does it. In 20 years that I have worked in this field, I have never met a person who actually earned a sustainable profit from simply retailing multi-level marketing products. The sales don't go to the customers. The sales are not made primarily to people in the open market. Incredibly, the sales are to the people who are on the chain. That is, the salespeople sell to themselves. And the pay that they receive for selling to each other is this extreme top-loaded plan, which transfers the money to this tiny few, rather than rewarding the people that actually make the sale each time. Now, with these 5 characteristics by the design, by the requirements of recruiting, by the lack of a retail or external sales opportunity, and then a pay plan that sends all the money to the very top, what would be the expected result? Well, of course, it is loss. Loss on a massive, almost incalculable scale. More than 99% make no profit each year, But if you add in the churn rate and calculate it over a longer time frame, then you would see that the percentage of people who have ever made a profit by any means in multi-level marketing is a virtual zero.
Exactly. A lot of people misunderstand the 99% loss rate. A lot of people will come out in their videos and say 99% of people in MLMs lose. It's actually too generous of a statement. 99% of people per year lose. And then most of them, the majority, more than 50%, leave and are replaced by the next calendar year. So imagine that you have an MLM and it's year 0 and you have 100 people, 99 lost, 1 made money. The next year, just for the simplicity of our math, let's imagine that the 99 who lost money left and were replaced by a new 99. So on January 1st, 99 people walked out, 99 new people walked in. Now on year 2, 99% of people have lost money, but the same guy who made money in year 1 makes money again in year 2, and on and on and on. What you would actually see is that by year 2, it's actually not 99% of people that have lost money. 99% of people losing money is 99 out of 100. By year 2, we've now had 199 people, because you've got 99 from year 1 that lost money and 99 from year 2. 198 people, because the same guy who made money in the first year was the same guy who made money in the second year. So now the loss rate is actually 1 over 198, not 1 over 199. So now the number drops. The number of people who make money drops from 1% to 0.005% in year 2. And likewise, if you do this in year 3, where another 99 people have lost money, 99 plus 99 plus 99, we now have 297 people, and the same guy made money. But there have been 298 people involved since the beginning of the company on year 0. So now we have one guy who's made money 3 years in a row and 297 people who have lost money. This drops the success rate to 0.003%. And so as a company, as it continues, it gets smaller and smaller. Now imagine a company like Amway. They've been around nearly 100 years. And some of the people who are still making money at the top levels of Amway are like second or third generation Amway people who their parents were in it and their grandparents were in it, and they've kept it going. So we're talking about even to say virtually zero is, virtually zero is the best way to say it. But we're talking about 0.000000000 something percent of people that actually make money over the lifespan of an MLM like Amway that's been around for almost 100 years. So, these are numbers that would be so insignificant in anything else. If you had a soap that killed 99.9999999% of bacteria, at that point, you can basically just say 100%, if we're getting down into the real minutia of it, if we're getting down that deep into it.
So as we've said, multi-level marketing's great disguise is that it is a business, that it is operating within the market. And therefore, when people lose, they're told, well, too bad to be you, because, well, the market doesn't guarantee anything to anyone, and there is risk. How hard did you work? Did you do enough? It's considered a function of the marketplace. It was fair, and it was a business, and you lost. Well, too bad. Maybe you shouldn't have tried. Maybe you're not suited for this, and so on. You blame yourself. But what if it isn't a business? How would you know? Well, there are 2 characteristics that define a business. Multi-level marketing fails both of them. The first is a business has a voluntary contract. That's the great thing about business. People enter into transactions voluntarily, and they have enough information to enter the contract, to enter into the transaction. They do it willingly because they have enough information. But in multi-level marketing, you don't get enough. You don't know how the pay plan works. You don't know about the loss rates. You don't know about the costs. You don't understand exponential expansion, which would guarantee you're going to lose from the start. So it fails on the first element of a business, that is a voluntary contract, because it has not disclosed enough information for you to have entered into this contract voluntarily.
Exactly. This is something you guys might have heard me use the analogy before, the poison apple analogy, or the poison glass of water analogy, where if I say to someone, hey man, do you want to eat this poison apple? They would obviously say no, because they don't want to be poisoned. If I say, hey man, want to eat this apple, and I don't mention that poison was in it, and then they eat it and then they die, I don't get to go, oh well, you chose to eat it. No. They chose to eat an apple. They didn't choose to eat a poison apple. Had they chosen to eat a poison apple, the blame would not have been on me. The difference between these two situations, one of those situations is the person committing suicide, and the other situation is me committing murder. Very different. Likewise, in MLM, one situation where they actually do have enough information to be able to make a voluntary decision and for it to constitute a voluntary contract, one of those would be considered business, giving them all the information. The other, which is what MLM is, where they don't give you the information, that is called fraud. That's a scam, okay? And not only that, Robert's second point, there is not a reasonably equitable exchange. You are purchasing a maybe. They tell you it's a guarantee. Yeah, if you just follow the system and follow our leaders, you'll make millions of dollars. Not only are you not going to make millions of dollars, which would be clear to you based on the information they've omitted purposely from telling you about the exponential math, and like you also don't know what layer of the pyramid you're joining when you join. How many people are in the company already? If there's already 100,000 people in the company, well, it's going to be even harder than if it was a brand new company. So, they leave this information out, and then when you inevitably don't succeed, they tell you it's your fault. So what did you actually buy? Did you actually care about the lotions and potions and protein powder and insurance? Probably not. But they've tied the product to the recruiting so that you need to buy the product as a consequence of joining the opportunity. Nobody joins an MLM because they actually give a fuck about the protein powder and the lotion. People join because they think it's an income opportunity. And you buy the product as a consequence of joining the opportunity. That's how they launder the money that you're paying to recruit, is by saying, oh, well, you're not paying to join, you're buying a product, and I'm not getting paid to recruit you, I'm getting a commission. So you're not paying to recruit, but you have to pay in order to be recruited, and they're not getting paid to recruit you, but when they recruit you, they get paid.
The second is a business is a proposition or a transaction with a reasonable, it's presented as the greatest income opportunity in the world, as an unlimited income opportunity, and one that anybody can participate in and succeed at. But it's not true, as we've just explained. Only by design can but a tiny few actually succeed. And their success depends on the losses of all the others. So there must be deception in order to get them into this losing proposition. So not only is there not a voluntary contract, there doesn't result in a reasonably equitable exchange of value either.
Dr. Rapp says, so there is a chance that over time the population of the world has been involved. It's not a chance. I mean, it's true. It's true. Even the third world countries I've gone to, they have elaborate, giant Amway headquarters and like museums, which you'll see in my Amway documentary. The Amway headquarters in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, that literally has statues of like Jay Van Andel and Richard DeVos.
Promised reward is of income, and that is what multi-level marketing promises, is not and cannot be delivered. Well, okay, you might be saying, I get it. Multi-level marketing is a bad deal. It's not even a deal at all. It's not a business. It's a pyramid scheme. I get that. But a cult? Why call it a cult? And how could even a bad business be a cult? Well, that's what we're going to look at. In the next few slides, we're going to see that multi-level marketing has to be a cult. It couldn't function without coercive control. People don't voluntarily join losing propositions and stay in them, or recruit their friends and family into them, even as they themselves are losing money. That's the behavior of a cult person or an addicted person? That's what we're going to look at in the following slides. Well, cults and cultism, for many people, is perhaps an area they don't know much about, or whatever they do know seems rather mysterious. The professionals, the academics that have studied cults, and they have been studied for many decades now, are in general agreement on the characteristics that all cults exhibit. All of these characteristics have to do with controlling people's thinking. That's what a cult really does. It's a form of mental enslavement. So the first thing all cults do is control the information you get. You'll be urged or warned not to listen or read or think of other areas or other experts. So you become completely immersed in the language and the teachings of the cult only. The doctrines and the tenets, the beliefs are presented not as ideas, not as rational thought, but as ultimate truths, the answer to life's questions. Since they are ultimate answers and everything is presented in a controlled way, the world becomes black and white. There's no gray area. There's no nuance. There's no room for discussion. You're in or you're out. You're a believer or a non-believer. And to enforce all this, every cult will create its own language, that is, its own special cliches, aphorisms, slogans that people will repeat over and over again. And all of those slogans are designed to terminate or subvert, short-circuit, critical thinking, where questions might arise. These cliches are designed to shut down questions. And another area that is common of all cults is that they are not just focused on a narrow area of life, but virtually all life experience. So the cult leaders and the cult itself is presented as so authoritative, so exceptional, so enlightened, that it can effectively advise about any area of life. And so whatever occurs in your life, they have the ability to interpret in their terms. And so cults are often called totalistic or all-inclusive. There's no area of life that is separate from it. There's no escape from it. It covers every element of your life.
I mean, these are my words, not Robert's, but I think that all of those defining characteristics of cults apply to every single religion. Christianity, Islam, Judaism. I think that they all, the group or its leaders control information. Okay, that could be the pastor or the imam. The group's doctrine or ideology is considered ultimate truth. Yep, that checks the box. The group exhorts members to view the world as black and white. Yep, black and white, heaven, hell, good, evil. You accept Jesus or you don't. You go to hell or you go to heaven. Proprietary thought-terminating cliches. Oh, why did this happen to me in my life? Oh, well, God works in mysterious ways. God has a plan. Okay. The group manipulates experiences to demonstrate authority, advancement, or exceptional talent that sets the leader and or group apart from humanity. Yeah, God came to him in a dream. God spoke to him.
And continuing with Professor Lifton's defining.
And yes, Shu Murphy, we can pause for a second to take in how fire this content is. Shout out to Robert FitzPatrick for this. I'm amazed that he did this. I'm very grateful he did this. This will be a valuable resource for many years to come.
Characteristics of cults. Returning to that last one just referenced about experiences being reinterpreted. So contrary experiences have to be reinterpreted to fit the ideology. And therefore, if you see people suffering or losing, that has to be explained away because
yeah, if a surgeon performs a life-saving surgery, we don't thank the surgeon, we thank God, God guided their hands. It's like, no. Their years of practice and skill and learning did that.
It would perhaps cause you to question the ideology or the beliefs or the claims and promises of the cult.
Religious people are so funny. Anything bad that happens, it was the devil. Anything good that happens, it was God.
See people suffering or losing, that has to be explained away because it would perhaps cause you to question the ideology or the beliefs or the claims and promises of the cult. The leaders often do this by, in effect, beating you down, getting people to admit to faults or sins, weaknesses, vulnerabilities, failures that they have had in life. And these become then ways in which the person can be dominated or manipulated.
Just like we saw, you guys remember when I did some streams about Ray Higdon and his wife and their reality show, Play to Win? where it was basically like who can trauma dump the hardest, and they were like pushing them to reveal the deepest, darkest secrets about themselves and use that like manipulating their pain points.
So if the cult tells you that you can become wealthy and you have admitted that you have financial troubles, then the fact that you have financial troubles will be used against you to disqualify you from asking a question. Well, what do you know? You're not wealthy. You failed. You don't have money. So who are you to be questioning this?
Appeal to authority fallacy, or appeal to money, appeal to wealth fallacy.
And then finally, the group has to be, in effect, vaccinated against anyone outside the cult who might question it. So every member is encouraged, urged, or even threatened to beware of people who would question or criticize the cult. Anybody outside the cult who dares to question it has to be considered bad, uncredible. And if you are in relationship with that person, you will be advised to avoid and stay away from that person.
Or if they're always Marco, you say that they're a hater and a dream stealer and a clout chaser trying to make money and get views, and that actually YouTube is a pyramid scheme because the more subscribers he gets, the more money he makes. So actually he's the one doing the thing that he's blaming them for. Anyways, I don't know what the fuck happened there. I lost y'all for a sec. I don't know if I lost y'all. I don't know what happened there if I lost y'all, but I'm back now if it is. I saw a thing that said I lost y'all. Refresh it if not. Pay to win was psycho. They had to pitch something while being blasted by a fire hose or some shit. Yeah, so yeah. I was saying if they're always Marco, they're scammers, and definitely don't go to alwaysmarcomerch.com and buy a t-shirt and use the code GOONS for a discount. Otherwise, you're supporting a scam.
Or group. So at the beginning of this presentation, we looked into the face of the MLM cult. And we identified characteristics or behavior that millions of people have seen with their own eyes among multi-level marketing victims. They've seen the changes come over them. They've seen the relentless recruiting. They've seen them reject their own families and friends and exploit family and friends. And yet, most people don't suspect multi-level marketing of being a cult. Why? Well, there are some obviously good reasons why people are put off by this and don't immediately go to the cult explanation. First, most of us see or think of cults as small, marginal, and exotic. They wear funny clothes. They have beliefs that are ridiculous or extreme. But multi-level marketing is huge, global. It's not marginal. It's not anomalous. It's part of the business world. And its leaders are in high positions in the Chamber of Commerce or maybe in Congress. The people that are in multi-level marketing and the people who might recruit us into a multi-level marketing look like us. They don't wear special costumes or styles. They don't use words or terms that are unfamiliar to us. Their beliefs sound quite familiar.
They blend in.
The rhetoric, the themes, the goals are not strange or unusual to us. And then finally, multi-level marketing is supported and endorsed by some very credible, seemingly credible people of great popularity or respect, including politicians, celebrities, even clergy, sports stars. That these people are paid to endorse multi-level marketing is generally not realized or known. But most important, in my experience, is that people don't go to the cult identity, even though the people they see are acting like cult members. But they don't because they are told multi-level marketing is a business. And a business cannot be a spiritual, utopian, or belief-based operation, right? Business is practical. It's routine. It's governed by economics, math, profit and loss. That's the opposite of utopian, spiritual, esoteric ideas associated with cults, right? Except MLM is not a business. As we've seen before, In MLM, there is no voluntary contract. There's no disclosure or insufficient disclosure, and there is pervasive, deliberate deception. And it does not produce an exchange of value. Virtually everyone loses. Business is just MLM's disguise. MLM is not based on economics. It doesn't recognize economic factors like saturation or retail profit requirements. It's not based on the market. It creates its own artificial market among its own members. It's an internal money exchange. In place of economics, multi-level marketing claims to function on occultic or metaphysical concepts such as infinity, the endless chain, the unlimited opportunity, defying market limits and the laws of math.
And the supply of money. Money is not infinite.
And physics. It does this with a special factor true of all cults. Not business, not economics, which would expose a cult. It does it on the basis of belief, unquestioned belief. The object of multi-level marketing is to capture the mind. The money follows. The primary dogma of the MLM belief system is that belief shapes reality. It requires this dogma in order to continue expanding while 99% of the people lose. It must do a lot more than just divert attention away from the money scheme or the fraud. MLM literally must reshape reality and get people to reinterpret their own experience, which will be negative. MLM claims the power of knowledge higher than logic, greater than economics, and beyond question. Those that believe succeed. Doubters, critical thinkers, negative thinkers, they fail. This explains everything, and this is what will keep losers staying in the scheme, hoping that if they just work harder and have greater faith, they will become winners. In MLM, belief is what cult authority Robert Lifton calls sacred science. He said all cults claim to possess some form of sacred science. The belief dogma in MLM, that belief determines reality, is not something MLM invented. It has a long history in American culture. And that's why it feels so familiar. It was in Transcendentalism in the early 1800s and in New Thought. It was part of Christian Science. It's the primary tenet of sales psychology. Fake it till you make it. Confidence conquers everything. And it is now part of mainstream Christianity called prosperity theology.
Also, I mean, the latest incarnation of this is manifestation. You know, I mean, most people in MLM are women, and women love manifestation, whether they're in MLM or not. You know, they love astrology, they love manifestation. I mean, MLM will find something innocuous and attach itself to it and use it for evil.
Those who think positively will incur and receive God's graces in the form of money. And so, armed with cultic authority and making a utopian promise, MLM schemers can exert coercive cultic controls over huge numbers of people, all carried out in the disguise of a business opportunity. In this disguise, they can instill leader worship, impose thought control. All thoughts must now be positive. They can establish the winner-loser dichotomy. The winners believe, the losers doubt.
Winners never quit, quitters never win.
And they can exert personal control over virtually every area of life, demeaning and discrediting apostates, doubters, and critics, because only losers quit and only quitters lose.
There you go.
Lose.
Yeah, isolate victims by demeaning and discrediting apostates, doubters, and critics. Yep, discredit always Marco. He's a what did Dominic Izzo called me? He's a rapist. Scott and Peter, he's a drug dealer, hater, clout chaser, you name it.
Continuing with the power of this belief, the power to shape reality, multi-level marketing is able to demonize the world outside itself. The new recruit is now told that any other life choice, a regular job, a profession, the civil service, owning a small business, or climbing the corporate ladder, they're worthless. They're for losers. They're nothing compared to what multi-level marketing offers. Anybody that would choose those over multi-level marketing is a loser. They're able to exert a control, an intrusive control over all other parts of life, way beyond business areas, right into family, child rearing, personal attitudes, your religious faith, your attitude toward your country, sexual preferences, how you dress, and who you vote for. Multi-level marketing is famous for these cult-like mass spectacles in which extreme persuasion occur. They exert extraordinary political influence using the millions that they've gained from the victims. They finance seats in academics at universities, essentially putting PhDs on their payroll.
Yeah,
And
Direct Selling Education Foundation, the DSEF. That's exactly how they do it. They lobby not just the government, they lobby academics as well.
And they even influence foreign policy as they are able to move into more and more countries. Of course, they have infected established religions now, too, with the prosperity gospel. And among the groups most affected, where multi-level marketing is quite rampant, is among evangelicals, in the Mormon church, and in most megachurches.
Think of Mitt Romney. Mitt Romney, Mormon, has 1 billion kids. His biggest campaign contributor when he was running for president against Obama was Nu Skin.
So to question or challenge MLM, now armed with this cultic power, is currently treated as a form of bias, a form of negativity, anti-business, potentially illegal, being possibly defamatory. It's downright un-American.
Exactly. They have controlled the narrative to such a degree that they've decided what's true. They've decided what's true so that even telling the real truth is considered defamation. Nobody knows this better than me. Nobody knows defamation like me, frankly. I've been sued more than anyone.
So we began by looking into the face of the MLM cult, and then we examined the way it operates using the pyramid scheme, the exponential expansion. We've separated it from real business and from direct selling, showing that it is uneconomic, requiring people to fail.
Selling a course on quantum manifestation, you gotta love it.
And then we've examined its cultic power, which is belief. It's sacred science, getting people to believe that it doesn't really matter about economics or math or markets. It's all about belief. If you believe, you will succeed. And if you fail, it's because you didn't believe. And this has enormous power over people. But there is one more context to put multi-level marketing in order to understand it. And if it is not understood, if the context is not known, it still will have the power to enroll people and to baffle those that are not enrolled and confuse them so they can't help those who get enrolled. And that is to see it in the context of our capitalistic system, of our business system, which is what America operates on. It is us. So how has multi-level marketing abused and distorted our system? Multi-level marketing is able and has been able to enroll millions of us over many years in its disguise as a business, all the while causing 99% loss rates. Imagine how many people have lost money in multi-level marketing. They have the experience of loss, failure in it. They were victims of it, and yet it remains unscathed. It continues to operate. It does so in this disguise of being part of us, part of our business culture. It reflects, but in an exaggerated and grossly distorted form, dominant values and beliefs we generally hold, most of us, in our capitalistic culture. Multi-level marketing constantly speaks about freedom and independence and initiative and self-reliance and self-employment. Who would be against that? Don't we all espouse and exalt that? It talks about radical individualism, self-determination. Who's against that? It does teach a form of amoral, irresponsible behavior. But isn't that what corporations are supposed to do? Don't they have a duty to maximize profits? So MLM is just helping each of us reflect the values of financial world, of financial survivors, to survive and to win. It speaks about success and equates success with wealth and achievement and tells us that really is what our self-respect should be based on. Well, don't we hear this also in the world of advertising and marketing? And finally, it speaks about our lives, our personal lives, about our family, about having time for our family. It portrays winners having wonderful vacations, lots of leisure time, travel. Who doesn't want that? Aren't we generally told that's what we should be working for? And it also promises consumer rewards, cars, big homes, furniture, appliances, boats. These are the consumer rewards, the proof of a successful life. Does any of that sound bizarre, strange, unfamiliar? Of course not.
They have the best disguise. Spec says, talk to him. Yep.
It's what dominates our culture and our general beliefs, if we haven't examined them, of our capitalistic culture.
And they can tailor this, too, to not just talk about capitalism, but if you're someone who claims to be more spiritual, they can tailor the claims of MLM and how amazing it is to your spiritual side as well. They can say, oh, yeah, this is, this is what God wants. This is what God wants you to do.
There are two sides to the context of MLM in our larger American capitalistic culture. The first we already looked at. Multi-level marketing mimics, though it distorts and exaggerates, very popular, commonly accepted values and beliefs. They are dominant values and beliefs in our system of capitalism, our culture in America. But there is also another reason that MLM is thriving currently in America and in much of the rest of the world too, and that is it reflects our failures, the failure of our American culture, our American economic system to provide for people. And we hear this commonly as the death of the American dream or the decline of the middle class. But it is true that disaffection and disappointment are increasing, and they are growing at a rate faster than MLM is being exposed. So while more and more people are learning that multi-level marketing is not an option, not an answer, in fact, it's a dangerous financial trap and a cult, yet many more people are being pulled toward it due to their loss of faith and success in the conventional economy. In fact, MLM's growth tracks with a rise of authoritarianism and nostalgia that is longing for the past. There is currently no alternatives offered for people. In fact, there's nothing apart from our current system that people can even imagine that might come to help them. And so multi-level marketing looks like a possibility. It's delusional promises, it's false economic claims, it's non-rational beliefs, also form a kind of hope, a false hope, but it is something to blunt some of the harsher economic realities of declining wages and rising prices and lack of savings and the higher cost of the basics, such as home ownership or a college education or providing for a family. It blunts and gives some relief. It's not real relief, but it is emotional relief to some of the failures that people are facing in the economy and in the government. And the last, which is not really an element of the cult, but more a protection of the fraud. And that is that multi-level marketing enjoys political protection from the government. No investigation has been made of MLM in all these years. All the statistics on the losses, all the deceptions of MLM in all these years, all the statistics on the losses, all the deceptions that are promoted have never been addressed in any kind of a comprehensive way by any regulatory agency. Multi-level marketing is allowed to sell financial propositions, in effect investment schemes, to millions of people without any requirements for making disclosures. So why is that? Well, it must be acknowledged that in some ways the spread of MLM, the spread of its false hope, the self-blame that it instills in people is very good for some politicians. It redirects people, it distracts people from looking at the government as a source of their problems. They turn and look at their own lives. They blame themselves. They don't think of any alternatives to our economic system or improvements or reforms. They take it all upon themselves. And if you're a politician, this is good because it leaves you without any sense of accountability. When you take it all together, you have to acknowledge that multi-level marketing is a symptom of what is occurring in the country in terms of reflecting the failures and the current, in many cases, sad realities of our capitalistic system. This presentation is not intended to be a comprehensive coverage of cults or the cult phenomenon. Instead, it is designed almost entirely to connect multi-level marketing with its true identity, which is a cult, not cult-like, not cultish, but a dangerous, predatory, destructive, coercive cult movement. When people recognize this, then the face that they see of multi-level marketing, that were in the first two slides, the obsessive behavior, the character assassinations, the financial suicides, and all the other bizarre, seemingly bizarre behavior exhibited by people in multi-level marketing, the self-destructive behavior, becomes much clearer. It also should clarify for many people that multi-level marketing is not a business. It is not direct selling, and therefore taking a great deal of time to look at MLM products or pricing or some of the individual deceptions that it engages in never gets to the core and never really enables people to avoid multi-level marketing or deal with it effectively. In the end, people deal with multi-level marketing one-on-one. As was shown, multi-level marketing enjoys extreme political protection. This was gained years ago, primarily through bribery, through political influence buying, or what is called lobbying today. Now, many of the regulatory agencies are so corrupted by multi-level marketing, many of their executives and officials actually move from their government positions right into multi-level marketing and then back into government through the revolving door, that they are in a position now to protect multi-level marketing rather than the public. And so for most people, combating multi-level marketing is a one-on-one event. It's when it enters your family or among your friends or at your workplace or in your church where people really do have to contend with it. And I've been asked over the years, how in the world do we recover our son, our daughter, my spouse, my uncle, how do we deal with this? And of course, anyone who has been involved with any type of cult knows this is not an easy thing to do. And it is not any easier in this cult either. Yet, there are a few guidelines that I think are valid in dealing with this intrusive experience of multi-level marketing among friends and family. First is obviously not to damage relationship in some way if you can. That is, don't begin by condemning the scheme or criticizing the person involved or telling them they've been duped or they're stupid, but rather try to use facts and logic to expose and debunk the pyramid fraud. As many of these slides have shown, its uneconomics, its impossibility to make a living, the loss rates, and so on.
Robert has really done me a solid by making this presentation, because I was thinking for a while on making something almost exactly like this that would go over what MLM really is and then talk about how to help get friends and loved ones out of MLM. And now I don't have to, because somebody even more credible than me has done it. So thank you for this, Robert. This is extremely helpful.
Recognizing these facts may be rejected and denied in the same way that all cult people deny facts and criticisms.
I'm actually going to add this to my Discord tab, the Discord tab called Help Resources. I'm going to add this there right now. Help Resources, put this there. Yeah, let's put that there as well.
Instead, try to urge a fact-based assessment. Stay with facts.
Jeff says, one reason why I stayed in MLM for 9 years, my faith was screwed with by the so-called Christian leaders. Yes, exactly. General audience, I'm putting you in timeout because you're talking shit. You're being rude, in my opinion.
Facts. It's the only anchor, really, to engage with. Try to get the person to face certain basic facts, such as how much money have they actually been spending in total or each month? How much time have they given to it? And what real experience have they had? Good, bad, loss, sad? Recognizing this too may be avoided. Part of what the cult is designed to do is to reinterpret experience, as we showed, and so many people have reinterpreted their losses, their sadness, their conflicts within the scheme in a way of self-blame. It's good to tactfully try to address some of the disappointments and dashed expectations or unfulfilled hopes that you know the person may have gone through that probably made them vulnerable to MLM in the first place.
Yes.
So reconnecting them with those actual real-life experiences that all of us experience.
I also think one note that I can add here that might be helpful is in the first bullet point where he says, don't condemn scheme directly or criticize those involved, but use facts and logic to expose and debunk the pyramid fraud. A way to do this is by talking about something that's adjacent to that company. So you could talk about another MLM. You could show them a documentary about a different MLM like Vima that was shut down for being a pyramid scheme. You could show them one of my videos about, a different company that they're not in, maybe they'll see similarities between their MLM and a video that I've done on MLM. You could talk about a different cult completely. You could talk about, hey, have you seen this documentary about Scientology? It's so crazy how they make you do X, Y, and Z, and hopefully they will draw the parallel between those tactics and the tactics they've seen in their own MLM.
In some way, enables people to remember.
Yeah, John Reardon. Sorry, dude. I couldn't help my wife because she was doing IM for 2 years behind my back. When I found her pics, what do you mean pics? She immediately left me. 3.5 years now. She's still in it with my son. Yeah. Well, hopefully they get out soon, especially now that they've been sued by the FTC.
And whereas the cult has been trying to get them to rescue them from this.
And not only, sorry, one more note about IM Academy. It wasn't just me that made pieces about IM Academy. Bloomberg Business did it as well. Bloomberg, IM Academy, and so did Vice. 11 months ago, the trading guru and his money-losing disciples, 200K views 11 months ago. This is about Chris Terry and IM. And also Vice did one about I Am Academy. It's called The Trading Cult, Separating Children from Their Families. Also 11 months ago, 461K views. Look, 6 months ago, My Horror Story Inside a Forex Crypto. I mean, come on. Always Marco, 343K views. You know? Cruel World Happy Mind did a video about just about Austin Gotzi in I Am Academy. That has 300K views. You know? It's crazy shit. Always Marco, I Am Academy 4 years ago, 633K views, the biggest video on it.
In some way, enables people to remember.
No, I know what you mean by, I know what pics means. I'm saying like pics of what?
And whereas the cult has been trying to get them to rescue them from this or deliver them from it. So it's important to get back to these things, to face them. It's also good to try to direct people back toward remembering who they were. So if going back to the disappointments is an attempt to reconnect to reality, not the utopian world of the MLM, but the real world reality, getting people to remember their earlier pre-cult life, their actual things they wanted, hopes that they held, things that they did, skills that they have. That is to regain the identity which MLM has been stealing from them or dashing. That is the point of a cult, is to take away your identity and transfer it to the cult.
This is exactly why people in MLMs all talk the same, use the same euphemisms and aphorisms and sayings, and have the same speech pattern and way of talking. And, all right, guys, I'm here. This is an amazing company, right? And what we're doing inside the company is so amazing, right? Because we have an opportunity. They all talk like that. Look at Nathan from my ACN video. Look at the guys from all my other MLM videos. You'll see it's exactly the same.
And therefore, you no longer have you no longer have self-determination. You're at the mercy of what the cult tells you to do. And then also, and maybe this is the most important, to recall the enduring relationships that they have, to recall where real trust and love are. Multi-level marketing offers fake love, fake trust. They even call it love bombing, where this fake affection and support is offered.
Thank you for joining the cult, IBHI Tech. Appreciate you. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome, and enjoy those custom chat emojis and early access to the new content when it gets uploaded. Big up.
Only, though, as long as you adhere to the rules and keep feeding money and labor and support to the cult. And
the court made her show her Forex tax returns. She lost thousands, and she was an instructor at IM in Japan. Well, hopefully it's coming to an end soon now, John. You've endured a lot. But that's good that the court did make her do that in Discovery.
And finally, to try to reconnect the person with the talents and the experience and the interests that you know they have, which is really the basis of self-respect, not success, financial success, certainly not success in the cult, which is not going to happen.
Exactly. What do you do to make, to provide joy to the world? What do you do to make the world a better place, to make people smile, That's what it's about, man. That's what it's about. The smiles on the faces of the children in your life, your siblings, your little cousins, your nieces and nephews, your kids, That's what it's about. Type shit. I've been down so long it look like up to me. They look up to me. I got fake people showing fake love to me straight up to my face. Shout out Drake.
So these are, let's say, guidelines that I have found others have used and seem to work, recognizing that it is very difficult to get a person to look beyond the influence, the coercive influence that the cult has exerted upon them. Time is on the side of people trying to bring someone out of a cult. Multi-level marketing, for most people, the spell lasts less than a year before the costs and the losses and the realities begin to take their toll. For some people, it's much, much longer. But the point is, time is a positive factor, so patience is also very useful. Thank you for your attention, and I hope that these slides will enable more people to first avoid cults for themselves, the multi-level marketing cult, and secondly, to help those they know are caught up in them or being tempted to join one. Thank you.
Fuck with your boy, Robert Fitzpatrick. That's what I'm talking about, man. That's what I'm talking about, man. Keep playing with Robert. Keep playing. Keep playing. I need to have a legendary link up with Robert. We've never met in person. You know, we were talking about it recently, linking up somewhere in the United States. A little boys trip. A little boys trip. Always Marco, Robert Fitzpatrick. Pun your head top. Woo! Robert Fitzpatrick, always Marco. That's like Mary and Joseph. You know what I mean? That's like Mr. Miyagi Danielson. You know what I mean? That's like Robin Williams and Matt Damon in Good Will Hunting, you know what I mean? That's like Chef Auguste Gusteau and Remy Ratatouille. That's like Aslan and the Pevensie children in the Chronicles of Narnia. That's like Mary Poppins and Michael and Jane Banks and Mary Poppins. That's like Coach Ken Carter and the basketball team. That's like Mufasa and Simba. That's like Uncle Ben, Peter Parker. That's like Gordon Bombay and the Mighty Ducks. That's like Mickey and Rocky Balboa. That's like Master Shifu and and Kung Fu Panda. That's like Professor X and Wolverine. That's like Dumbledore and Harry. That's like Gandalf and Frodo. That's like Mushu and Mulan. That's like Genie and Aladdin. Quit playing with him. Quit playing with me. Quit playing. You know? That's like Michael and Kobe. That's like LeBron and Luka. You know what I mean? Gordon Bombay. R. Fitzy and Big M, like Peanut Butter, like PB and J, yeah. Like King of Rap and French Montana. Oh, shit. So true. You know? What a legend. All right, that's all I got for y'all today. I fuck with y'all. Appreciate it, man. Inshallah, me and Robert Fitzpatrick link up soon, you know. Streamlabs link in the chat. If you're watching this on the replay and you want to make that happen, this is for the flight cost. Hit your boy up. If you want to join the Patreon, I'll put the link in the chat. If you want to order something cool like the Anti-Pyramid t-shirt in black, in gray, in navy blue, if you want to do that, that's alwaysmarcomerch.com. Use the code GOONS for a discount. Top secret. Shh. If you want to join the Discord, that's free to do. That's also in the chat in the description right now. If you want to join the Patreon's already in there. If you want to just donate, hit that donate. Streamlabs link in the chat. PayPal, credit card, whatever you want to do. Send me an envelope full of cash. Whatever works. I'ma fuck with you. Alex FPV, I'ma fuck with you. All right, y'all. Peace. We did it. Thank you, Robert Fitzpatrick, as well. Big up.
Marco.
It's all about residual income.
Thanks, Marco.
It's an evil world we live in.
Billions and billions.
Chocolate chip.
Work. She belongs to the streets.
Yeah, girl, I'm out here in these streets.